Hi, welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in crossover battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And in this episode, we are going to review Green Lantern, the movie that came out in 2011.
Yay.
It's a spoiler review, so make sure, I'm not even going to say make sure you've seen the movie, because if you haven't seen the movie, you're not missing much. And that's all I have to say about that for right now. We'll be getting into the review later on this episode.
It's one of the few DC films that I don't encourage people to watch, because usually I'm forcing people to watch these movies. I don't really have DVDs anymore, but back when I did, I would be like, watch this. Here, take it home. Just watch it. But this film, not so much. It's kind of... We'll talk about it. Before we get into the review, we're going to go ahead and get into the news from the past week regarding superhero movies. And you can go ahead and look at the chapter times in the episode description for the topics. So we'll be talking about the new Marvel release dates that they've announced, 6 movies through 2022. It's just never going to end. So life's good right now. We're going to talk about the casting of Cheetah in the Wonder Woman sequel. And we're going to be talking about the leaked photo of the Shazam costume, the on-set photo that was leaked. Yeah. It's only the back of the costume. So, there's not too much to talk about, but, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
We'll talk about it nonetheless. All right, but before we get into the news, it's No Prize time. No Prize, for those who don't know, it's an award that Marvel used to give out from the 60s and 80s to those who wrote fan letters and met certain criteria. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award, and you can check them out on our social media. We personally draw them up for those people who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
By we mean me.
Yeah. Jonathan does not. If you want a shitty drawing, I will draw it. If you want a good drawing, Jonathan will draw it, which he does, and it's of a different character every episode. So go ahead and check those out. And the winner of this episode's No Prize is going to L. Lowson, I think is how it's pronounced. Lockin. We're gonna say Lockin. LLOCIN of Twitter, and Adam Spees of Facebook, who both gave the answer of Wilson Fisk Kingpin to the question, who do you think was the best villain from a Marvel or DC television live action series? So we got really 2 answers from everyone, and it was either Wilson Fisk or it was Kilgrave. Man, the Netflix shows are killing it in terms of villains.
Sort of.
Their villains are so amazing, and I think they're a lot more compelling than a majority of their film counterparts.
I liked Cottonmouth a lot for Luke Cage, but him dying halfway through the season just really kind of ruined the show after that, I thought. I wasn't impressed by Iron Fist or the Defenders villain, but Kingpin and Kilgrave, I have to agree. I can't think of better television villains in the history of superhero television shows.
Yeah,
and there's been a lot of them.
Yeah. Especially the Kingpin, the first time we saw him. And maybe he edges out Kilgrave for me personally because he's been in 2 seasons. We'll see what Jessica Jones season 2 is like.
Oh, I didn't even expect to see him in Daredevil season 2.
Kingpin?
And that was so crazy when he showed up.
That was such a great scene in Daredevil season 2 when he has that personal meeting with Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
And he kicks the shit out of him in the police station, and the police are all bought off by the Kingpin who's in jail. It's just the way he's kind of taken over that whole system as well, just like how he took over all of crime in New York. In Daredevil season 1 was just so fantastic, and his origin, his backstory, the way they handled it in the show, that was a great episode too. Makes me want to rewatch that season. It was so good, and it's also the reason why I would say Wilson Fisk gets this over Kilgrave was just because Vincent D'Onofrio is such a chameleon. Well, David Tennant's really good, but he's also David Tennant playing David Tennant, in a way.
I disagree. To me, Wilson Fisk or Vincent D'Onofrio, you almost can't tell that it's Vincent D'Onofrio. He's it is Wilson Fisk.
Yeah. Yeah, I will agree that the guy's a great chameleon actor. He could encompass any role.
Yeah, totally.
So congrats again to Lockin and Adam Spees, and you guys win the No Prize. And if you would like to win the No Prize, the drawing that we post on our social media, go ahead and listen for this episode's question of the week, which we will get to later. So let's get into the news. So in one of probably the best stories for me all year is this announcement by Marvel that they're going to release 6 more movies. So they're going to keep up the trend of releasing 3 movies per year, which has just made me like the happiest person alive.
Yeah.
Knowing I know that I at least have to stay alive through 2022. So I'll be buckling my seatbelt.
You know they're just going to announce more movies after that.
Yeah, that's true. And hopefully it never ends. Every time there's a great superhero movie to come out, like Black Panther, it seems more and more like the superhero fatigue thing that people keep talking about is never going to fully kick in.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the Infinity War story in Marvel Comics is like a really good story. And it's probably like one of their biggest cosmic stories that they've ever done.
The Infinity Gauntlet.
Like, how do you top that?
With Galactus.
And then how do you top Galactus? Like, when does it end?
With, I don't know, the Nihilus coming in from the negative zone or something.
Ugh.
Annihilation wave. Or maybe like the Cancerverse or something. I don't know, there's lots of different... There are a ton of cosmic level events in the Marvel Universe that have happened in which, you know, that have brought all the heroes together to fight.
And I've been hearing more and more often that, like, the next phase 4, like, may not perhaps, like, have an overarching story arc.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to lead into one big thing. Like, you know, Black Panther 2 is just going to be, you know, like, Black Panther and that next villain. And that
I would like
story.
that too. Yeah, you know? I certainly appreciate
sort of like Iron Man
one-offs.
1 and Iron Man 2 in a way. You know?
Yeah.
So I guess you could keep doing that like forever. But I would be really, really skeptical if like after Infinity War, if they didn't have like another big story lined up, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, I think if Disney does get Fox, you're right, it has to be Galactus.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Although they might save, you know, Galactus for just a Fantastic Four film, and not necessarily a whole Marvel Universe film or Avengers film or anything like that. You never know.
Yeah, yeah.
Any speculation on to what these 6 films might be?
I don't know. I don't care.
Actually, it would be the 3 movies that are scheduled for 2020.
Captain Marvel.
That's
2019.
Yeah, the 2020 films have not been revealed yet. So we have 3 films in 2020, 3 films in 2021, and 3 films in 2022. So I would like to speculate right now, if I may, on what those 9 films will be.
What are the films in 2019? There's Avengers, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel comes before Avengers. Captain Marvel's in March. The Avengers Infinity War Part 2 or whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah.
That's going to be in May. And then you have the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel in June or July. I can't remember.
Really?
Yes. So those are the 3 Marvel films for 2019. So there's 3 films in 2020. I imagine one of them is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Because you want to get that trilogy out there. I think you got to keep up the Doctor Strange franchise. And I think with all of the success of Black Panther, I think they're really going to put a sequel through the fast track pipeline. So I bet you the 3 2020 movies are going to be Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Black Panther 2. In 2021, I bet you it's going to be another Ant-Man movie. Considering it'll be 2 years after this one, you know, the one that comes out this year. I bet you it's going to be another Spider-Man movie, a third in the trilogy for Spider-Man Homecoming and Tom Holland. And then we're probably going to get a Captain Marvel sequel, I think, in 2021. A sequel to the movie that comes out next year. And then in 2022, I think they're going to wrap up the Doctor Strange trilogy with Doctor Strange 3, Black Panther 3, and probably an Avengers movie, Avengers 5. That's my personal guess. Bookmark this.
I'm surprised you didn't come up with like there's so no original movies in the next between 2020 and 2022.
I'm not sure if they will
original characters
unveil any new franchises.
I guess Captain Marvel is an original.
Yeah, I mean Captain Marvel is considered a new franchise, you know, and Black Panther and Doctor Strange and Ant-Man still feel so fresh. And it's almost like the next wave of heroes that we get. And, you know, once those characters are going through their trilogies, you know, in 2023, some of those might be wrapping up, like Captain Marvel might get another movie or something like that. But at that point, I bet you will start seeing, like, the X-Men and Fantastic Four if those properties get acquired. So,
are you looking forward to seeing Infinity War a week early?
Hell yeah, I am. That was fantastic news. I was horrified that I was not going to be able to keep myself from looking at spoilers. during that week in which it was released internationally and not in the United States.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's going to be released around the world at the same time means that I'll have an even better chance of not spoiling the movie for myself, because I have no willpower when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And I have to wonder if like that's the reason why they did it, because if it's releasing everywhere, around the worldwide on the same day, then there must be like massive spoilers for this.
Yeah. I can see that. And also, I think they also felt more comfortable pushing it up because it has more breathing room to work with now that New Mutants is out of that frame.
I bet Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is like really regretting like all of like the fuck Marvel talk that he's done.
When did he do that?
It was him, like him and Kevin Hart. They hosted the MTV Awards, and like they were just like Superman and Batman. And Dwayne Johnson, he's big, Black Adams. He's a big DC fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been like very, not like very anti-Marvel, but like if the opportunity comes up, and now he's competing with them with his Rampage film. So he's like,
oh shit,
yeah.
I didn't even know that came out on the same day.
Yeah, it does.
That's awesome.
So you have like the #1 box office star. Like right now, going up against like the #1 box office franchise.
Well, Rampage is going to get annihilated. There's no way it's going to stand a chance against.
I wouldn't be surprised if they moved it. I wouldn't be surprised
Rampage?
if they moved it. Yeah,
they should.
I agree. Maybe. Let's see. It's a game of chicken, I think, right now. Let's see if The Rock flinches.
That is a tricycle going up against a semi in a game of chicken. There's no contest there.
I don't know.
So yeah, excited about the move of the Avengers movie up a week, and excited about the new dates that they've announced. Marvel forever. Wakanda
so
forever.
Happy,
Marvel
so happy
forever.
for Marvel.
Yeah, you should be.
Actually, there was news recently. I don't know if you.
When is DC going to announce some dates, huh?
Well, apparently, like we're supposed to get news really soon, but apparently it's going to be like really bad news.
Really?
That's the rumor.
What?
Yeah.
Like?
So, did you hear like the whole like Twitter fiasco where Matt Reeves apparently was like going to drop out of the Batman?
Oh yeah,
and then everyone was
just
like,
a rumor.
Yeah. So, movie commentator John Campea said that he had an inside source that said that news would be coming soon for DC, and it was bad news. And so, for some reason, Humberto Gonzalez from The Wrap decided to write a story saying, "No, Matt Reeves isn't leaving Batman."
Yeah.
And everyone was like, wait, what? Was that the news? What's going on? And apparently,
stupid.
like, that wasn't anything. Like, John Campea was like, no, I never said anything about Matt Reeves. That wasn't anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like, day by day, each day, I'm just like waiting.
For the bomb to drop?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Do you think it could be the Wonder Woman casting news? Was that the bad news?
No. No, fuck you.
Let's get into that.
Oh, why is that bad news?
I don't know.
Okay, so the news is Kristen Wiig was cast as Cheetah in the Wonder Woman sequel, which is actually, for me, a huge surprise. But I have a lot of faith in Patty Jenkins. I think she's a really good director. And, she may not have cast Gal Gadot, but she did cast, like, Chris Pine, And that was a great casting choice. So Barbara Minerva, which is the character they're going with, I guess the film is supposed to take place in the 80s during the Cold War.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All this information was first released by Deadline Hollywood. So, yeah, she's basically been cast as Barbara Minerva. And it's interesting because I think she could definitely pull off, like, a scientist, kind of historian. Is she an archaeologist?
Like a funny scientist?
Okay. So you bring up the humor. It's not like she was funny in films like The Martian, or
here's the thing.
Yeah, she does have a dramatic side.
I will say I love Kristen Wiig. She is absolutely hilarious. I love her in everything that she's ever been in, but I can't take her seriously in her serious roles. I remember the first time I saw the trailer to The Martian, and it showed a quick glimpse of her. It was the teaser trailer. Showed a quick glimpse of her as she was wearing like a white turtleneck. She was like looking off into the distance, kind of super serious. I laughed out loud in the theater when I saw that trailer.
Why?
I don't know why. And I knew that she was like trying to go for more serious type roles and everything like that. But just the sight of her, just like looking like somewhat worried, it made me laugh because her style of humor, and also Will Ferrell's, is they deliver the absolutely most ridiculous comedic content with the straightest of faces. That's like their whole thing. That's their deadpan sense of humor.
It's really sincere.
I mean, and they could go wacky and crazy and everything like that, but yeah, their humor is very sincere. So when I saw the trailer to The Martian, I was like, oh, she's a, wacky, zany scientist lady, kind of,
No, I read the book beforehand. So, like, I knew what character, or I had an idea of what character she was playing. That character is not, like, wacky, zany.
Yeah. It's just her face, maybe. I'm so used to it being, like, so funny. I loved Bridesmaids. I just love her. Like, I love her comedy so much, and it's hard for me to picture her as doing anything else. Like, even in her serious roles. So this is going to be a struggle for me. It's kind of I don't know. I think a lot of people see her as this great comedian as opposed to a serious actress. And maybe she could change people's minds with this, but
I've seen a lot of pushback just because, like, she's not necessarily, like, the sexiest of actresses,
Oh, she's gorgeous.
She's definitely pretty, but, like, when I think of Cheetah in the comics, okay, so, like, right now I'm reading Alex Ross's Justice to my daughter.
Yeah.
And in that story, it has the Society of Supervillains, and Cheetah's in that. And half the time she's, like, naked in shadow, and I'm like, next page.
Oh, so you're like someone more busty?
No, not even busty. Like, I just mean more
sexual?
Yeah.
Sensual?
Feminine. She's super feminine. I don't know what I'm talking about. Because essentially she's just, like, wearing a skin-tight cheetah fur. And I'm just wondering, like, Kristen Wiig...
Maybe she turns into an actual cheetah in this movie. As opposed to,
gosh, I hope not.
As opposed to, like, a cheetah woman with female
No,
parts.
that's a horrible idea. What are you talking about? No,
like a giant cheetah.
I love Alex Ross's depiction of Cheetah. I hope they go with that version. I'm just saying, like...
Isn't it just a cheetah wearing a bikini or something?
No. You're thinking, like, Giganta.
I'm thinking Tigra.
Oh, from Marvel, from the Avengers.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to do that duel now.
We absolutely should. Yeah, definitely Tigra versus Cheetah.
She was like that in Injustice as well, I guess.
Okay.
But no, like in Alex Ross, like, she's just wearing, like, this sewed together, like, cheetah fur, like, the whole thing. And then, like, out of the mouth is, like, her face.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, it's super creepy. Super cool.
I can imagine Kristen Wiig being that evil.
No, that's the thing. I can't imagine her evil at all. And she's supposed to be the main villain?
Yeah.
Again, I have full confidence in Patty Jenkins. I just, like, if it were me, I would have cast someone like, what's her face? She was just cast as Mary Poppins. What is her name?
Emily Blunt?
Yes.
Well, apparently they went to Emma Stone for the role originally.
And she turned it down. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder why.
I don't know.
She has, like, great cat-like features. I guess so does Kristen Wiig. She's kind of cat-ish.
I don't think either of those actresses have cat-like features.
What?
Yeah. No.
Okay. All right.
No, Emily Blunt.
Okay.
But it's not, I don't know.
She would have been great.
She would have.
Great. We'll see what happens. I don't want to say anything bad about the casting because I love Kristen Wiig so much, but I will say...
I think a lot of people are hesitant to say something bad about the casting because then you end up saying things like, oh, she's not sexual enough and making yourself look like an ass.
Like you just...
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with that. I'm really looking forward to, that first trailer, even though, filming is still a far ways away.
Yeah, yeah.
So... All right, that brings us to our question of the week. In your opinion, what was the strangest casting for a Marvel or DC movie that actually ended up turning out okay?
I think I know everyone's answer, but we'll see.
I know my answer. Okay, so post your answer to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or you can email us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com. Search for us on social media under Dynamic Duel Podcast. You'll find us there. Mm-hmm. We will pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize with their name on it that we post to social media. So if you want to win one of those, go ahead and reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And let's move on to the leaked Shazam costume.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, where exactly it originated.
Twitter, I think.
Maybe, possibly. It looks like it could have originated. It's a behind-the-scenes shot of Zachary Levi in costume from behind. And holy shit, it looks so comic accurate, it's not even funny.
It looks straight from the pages.
Yeah.
He has the hood.
He has the hood.
It's the New 52 costume.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the front of it looks like because the New 52 version of the costume is very different from, like, pre-New 52. Pre-New 52, it's just, you're standard yellow lightning bulb, but in the new 52, it glows with like this crackling electricity, like in the middle of the lightning bolt.
Yeah.
It has like this edging to it. It's super red. That was like the first thing I noticed. Super, super red. It doesn't look like it has too much texture. Like,
well, it's not a muted red. Like
No.
Henry Cavill's Superman has like a very muted, darkened hue of the blue color. So much it almost looks gray in some shots.
yeah.
But in this one, yeah, it is very red.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder if like they're going to be playing with, any filters on camera or anything like that to make it look different. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It doesn't seem that way because the environment he's in is just kind of ridiculous. This has to be a Christmas movie. I can't remember when the film is coming out, if it's coming out around Christmas, because he's surrounded by Christmas trees on like this big Christmas wreath. Maybe it's not part of the shot. Maybe they're just like filming in the opposite direction of that.
The movie comes out in April 5th, 2019.
Okay, so I'm definitely confused as to why all the Christmas trees are here. They must be...
Well, the story might span out across a year's worth of time or something like that, or go through the Christmas season.
Yeah, possibly, I guess. He looks super buff. Like super, super buff. It has to be costume padding because...
Well, I mean, a lot of them have costume padding. Captain America did, Batman did, Superman does,
Yeah.
Even though they're huge actors, the costume still requires that definition.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't always show through.
His hair looks super, like, spot on from the comics. Almost, like, in a comical way. It almost looks like plastic.
Plastic
Like,
hair.
he just looks like everything is, like, perfect.
Well, it's very black.
Yeah.
And it's very trimmed. Almost like Elvis or something.
I really want to see how they're going to make this character look cool. If they're going in that direction, or if they're just trying to make it look very cheesy and youthful for kids.
Mm-hmm. Are you happy with it?
Sometimes some of the fun of seeing, a movie costume release is to see how they improved upon the costume.
How they translated it
and,
for screen.
and how they just sort of like, took what's on the page, which doesn't necessarily always work, and put that on screen. So in perhaps a more practical way, something that you could kind of understand. Mm-hmm. This is just so flat, and like the cape looks like sheer curtain to me in a way. Mm-hmm. That being said, I can't be upset because that's what it is in the comic, or that's what it looks like in the comic. Uh-huh. So how could you get upset? Oh, they made it too close to the comic. No, look at Iron Man.
It's also a somewhat blurry photo, so I mean, you might get a close up of the costume and see that it does have a little bit of texture.
Yeah.
Or some interest that you didn't know that was there previously.
I can't see anything from here, but you're right. It looks like Mark Strong is on set too. I just noticed that. Holy shit. There he is.
I want to see. Everybody go online right now and look at what Jonathan's looking at.
Yeah, he has his back to the camera too. He's on the left side of the frame. Okay. If he's like the new 52, he should have this like jagged lightning bolt kind of scar going across his eye, and his eye should be glowing. Oh, across one eye.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they're going to go with that. It may be too Harry Potter, but I hope they do because it's a really cool angle for Dr. Savannah. You could see magic.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Mark Strong as a bad guy, how do you like that transition?
Nice segue.
That does it for the news, and we're going to go ahead and talk about 2011's Green Lantern. All right, so we decided to review this movie at this time because in the next episode, we're going to be doing a St. Patrick's Day duel match between Green Lantern and Nova. And so usually we like to tie in the duels into movies that the characters appear in. Since Nova has not appeared yet, or the character of Nova, the Nova Corps has been in Guardians of the Galaxy,
right.
But Green Lantern has been in his own film. So we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the nicest things about it.
I didn't hate the movie when I first saw it, but watching it again recently, it does not hold up nearly as well as I thought it would.
It was a film, it was a great effort for the year 2003, but the film
came out in 2011.
Yeah, the same year as Captain America, The First Avenger, and Thor. And they were all those movies were risky first-time films for three unproven characters at the box office. And I think where Cap and Thor, where those films succeeded, where this one failed, I think, is that the filmmakers of Green Lantern didn't really know what made him a compelling character, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I mean, when this film was announced, I was keeping track of all the news items that were coming out before the film. I was excited for it. You know, Martin Campbell, the director, is a good director.
I love Martin Campbell. He directed Casino Royale.
He directed The Mask of Zorro, which I loved that film as a kid.
Yeah, GoldenEye.
He's directed some of my favorite films. So I had really, really high hopes for this. But I guess, like, behind the scenes, apparently a lot of people knew Martin Campbell wasn't a good choice pretty early on. Like, he doesn't work well with CG.
No.
And I guess this film had so much CG and so many special effects shots that it was so much that they kicked him out of the editing room.
Really?
Because it was just too much to deal with. He wasn't there when the film was edited. Jeff Johns was there, and I think another producer was there.
Well, special effects encompasses so much of the action of this film.
I think the Warner Brothers thought that he was a sure thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's taken him a really long time to direct another movie. Like, since Green Lantern, he's only had one film that's come out, like, and it came out this year. It was with Jackie Chan.
Pierce Brosnan, The Foreigner.
The Foreigner, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about it.
I haven't heard good things.
No?
I was looking forward to it.
Oh,
because, again, it's Martin Campbell. It should be great.
Yeah.
But not the best choice of director. It doesn't feel at all like a Martin Campbell film.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like, even just the other day when we watched this again for the first time in a while.
It was my second time watching it.
It felt nothing like Martin Campbell. I'm sure it was another thing that was just hard for him was that Green Lantern, the character itself, is just a hard character to sell because he's so powerful.
Conceptually, it's hard to find a way to put him in danger because he's right. He is so powerful. His powers aren't always clearly defined. There aren't set limitations. And this is kind of the problem I have with a lot of DC characters is that they're overpowered. And so anytime Green Lantern is in danger, like in this instance with Parallax, why can't he just create like a bigger, more scary Parallax monster, but with spikes for tentacles, you know? Like, conceptually, there's a lot in the lore and the powers of Green Lantern that is just ridiculous. And you just have to say, okay, whatever you say, DC writers, you know, the Ring can do anything, therefore it's, like, impossible to create any sort of tension or conflict in his stories.
But that's not true at all, because the Green Lantern comics are really good. So, you know, when especially during Jeff Johns' run, a lot of this film is based on his secret origin run in the comics.
Yeah.
And that was really well done. So, like, you can't tell me Green Lantern is impossible to work with. I mean, think
it's good for comics, but you have to put limitations on the character, I think, for him to be a successful character for film, I think. I think this film showed that in that the way he fought, I thought was creative, but you, the audience member, are thinking, I could think of so many other ways that, you know, this guy could win. Like, if he could create a sun, why doesn't he create a sun above Earth that sucks Parallax up into it, just like Kilowog created on Oa? I don't know, just small things like that.
I think a lot of the fun of Green Lantern is trying to, like, figure out the best solution for a problem. Well, one of the things that excites me about the new Green Lantern film that they're coming out with is that supposedly it's supposed to be like a training film, you know?
Yeah.
Where Hal Jordan is training John Stewart.
It's like a Lethal Weapon film with the veteran and the newcomer.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes in this film was when Hal Jordan is being trained. I mean, he's being treated like they're being huge jerks to him, but just like seeing the different constructs that they come up with. And I think that's the right approach to take. Like the training moment should have been spread out like throughout this whole film. I think that would have made it much more fun and much more interesting, like to watch him develop.
Well, I would agree that the moments on Oa were the best moments of this film. The second best moments of the film probably being that final fight, but it was so short, you know. I don't know. The characters, to me, too ill-defined. Like, why does the Ring have the psychic ability to perceive immediate threats? And if it has the ability to do so, why doesn't it immediately provide the necessary defense? Like, how does any Green Lantern get hurt? There's just issues I have with the character. And we're getting off the topic of the movie and more into the character itself, but I think some of these issues show up in the film, these ill-defined character traits.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the Ring goes, like, it doesn't have a will of its own. Yes, story-wise, I think this film was just a mess. It was written by Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and Michael Green, which, if those names sound familiar, it's because they're the ones who are behind like all of the CW superhero shows.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And originally,
Arrow?
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Originally, when they were still working on the film, their first draft of the script was leaked. And
really?
Yeah, like quite a few like news outlets like read it and reviewed it, and all of like the internet just loved it.
Really?
They thought it was really good. They were like, "This is going to be better than Iron Man. It's going to be so good." But it was pretty different because I read a few of those reviews. I didn't actually read the script, but Parallax wasn't the villain. Mm-hmm. It was a character named Legion, who in the comics he was originally the villain responsible for killing Ebb and Sur. And there was like it's supposed to be like this huge epic final fight on Oa. Mm-hmm. So like on Earth, Green Lantern's villain was Hector Hammond, but then like Legion was going to go destroy Oa, and so like all the Green Lanterns had to get together and fight this huge, massive threat. And it's going to be this huge, just like worldwide, like planetary battle. And it was supposed to be like really cool. I guess they just didn't have the budget for it.
I wonder if that script went less into the whole emotions as color concept thing.
It did, because that wasn't established yet.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know that was introduced in the Green Lantern Rebirth thing with Jeff Johns. Mm-hmm. I think they took that too far. Like, I don't mind the concept of emotions as an energy source, but I feel less comfortable with the concept of emotion as, like, color, basically. Mm-hmm. Willpower is green, okay, and it's the opposite of fear. Well, I thought courage was the opposite of fear. What color is courage? Why isn't that the power source?
To me, willpower is a stand-in for courage. To me, I think on the emotional spectrum, because willpower is not a fucking emotion. I've always thought that, you know, and so like to me, it's really about courage.
And how do you gauge willpower anyway? Like the Green Lanterns that went up against. In this movie, the scene where the team of Green Lanterns went up against Parallax, they all lost because they were afraid or something. But that doesn't mean, just because they were afraid doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't have the will to beat him.
Well, again, it's not, to me, the way I interpret it, it's not will, it's courage.
They lack the courage?
Yeah. To me, willpower in the Green Lantern comics translates to both courage and creativity. And to me, it's just like, do you have that courage and creativity to do and create what is necessary, you know?
And they have a line that addresses that in this film where Carol Ferris tells Ryan Reynolds, she says, you have the ability to overcome fear with courage. You know?
She's like explaining to him like what courage is.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, the script on this is not great, but just that concept is basically what you're saying. Like, willpower is courage?
Okay, so that kind of brings me into like the themes of this film, which I think were just all over the fucking place.
The movie tried to be a lot of things.
Okay, so initially, like the keyword that they tossed around was responsibility.
Yes,
because Hal Jordan was very like irresponsible in the film. He showed up late. When he got the lantern, his friend Tom was like, "You responsible? What are you gonna do?" He's like, "Yeah, I know, dude." You know. I think one of the reasons Ryan Reynolds was cast was because he could kind of pull off the arrogant cockiness in the same way that sort of Robert Downey Jr. can, but in a way that's not perhaps going to turn off audiences because there's a humor behind it, right?
Yeah.
So I think ultimately, like what Iron Man did so well was you had this cocky character who in the film learns humility and responsibility.
Yeah.
In this film, you had a cocky character who learns that he's courageous, maybe?
Well, he learned a lesson in humility in the Oa training fight against Sinestro.
But even then, like, he didn't take it the right way. He was like, fuck you guys, I'm going home! You know? It was kind of weird. He was like,
he quit and ran away.
Yeah. He was like training for like an hour, maybe? When he was like, I don't want to play anymore, you know? And in Iron Man, like, you know, when he was in the desert and stuff, and even when, like, he learned that his weapons and his the things he had built were going to be used in bad ways, you know? That's another version of humility. I think this character, like, he already knew he was courageous. He already knew he was brave. Yeah. You know, it's part of the job description. It's my job not to be afraid.
That's what he told the kid at his birthday party.
Exactly. Yeah. So at the end of the film, he learns that he's brave. He learned not a damn thing. And, you know, there was also this fear kind of theme especially with Sinestro, like every other word Sinestro says in this fucking film is fear.
Willpower and fear.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, okay, Hal Jordan isn't like, you come to him and you're like, oh, you're afraid. It's like, I never got that impression ever that he was afraid.
Right.
He was maybe like a little, like it was more of a sense of like wonder when he went on to Oa, you know? He really didn't, he was too naive to be afraid because he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know about Parallax or anything like that, you know?
Yeah. So
this whole thing, it's just a thematic mess. And another thing they bring up a lot is being human. And in the film, a lot, I'm not sure if it's like used in reference to like him being weak. You know, like Sinestro says that to me. He's like, oh, how human of you to do this. Yeah. Or then like, you know, once Green Lantern goes up to the Guardians near the end of the film, he's like, you know, we have a saying on my planet, we're only human. And it's like, it doesn't mean a fucking thing.
You know what? So on that note about being human, he mentions it when Hal Jordan creates a sword when they're about to spar for the first time. He says a sword, how human, and he pulls out 2 swords. Okay,
doubly human.
Okay, so later on in the movie, though, when they're going up against Parallax, him and his team of Green Lanterns, what do they create? A net, a fucking net to beat Parallax. Yeah, isn't that kind of the same? It's like a primitive tool to create, you know, defeat this huge poop monster. You know, like that seemed pretty human. Like I don't fucking get it. I think real quick, we talked about some of the plot, some of the characters, some of the themes. I think we should take a moment to talk about what we do like about this film before we continue.
Okay. This is really hard, actually. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. Because I remember, again, I didn't hate the film the first time I saw it. I think the best thing this film has going for it is the action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when he is using his ring, again, that's like those are the best parts of the film.
Yeah.
Like the scene where he uses it for the first time on Earth and he does like that Hot Wheels track and stuff like that. That was badass. That was really cool.
Was it though?
I thought it was.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Maybe it was a little bit more than I was expecting from someone like Hal Jordan, because in the comics, Hal Jordan is sort of like...
His constructs are more simple.
They're more simple. They're spheres.
That was more of like
fists.
A Kyle Rayner type thing. Huh?
Yeah, right. So I would have maybe liked to have seen a little bit more of that. But it was still cool to see. It was still really cool to see. Like my mouth was definitely like open when that was on. When I saw that for the first time. You know,
the race car track.
Yeah.
I think that was the least impressive use of his powers.
What?
I think the training scene with Kilowog, I thought that was pretty intense and it was pretty cool. And the final fight against Parallax when he was creating, you know, he had the big Gatling gun and he created the springs to launch the gas tanker and stuff like that. I thought those were the best scenes of the movie. So yeah, what it had going for it was the visual effects and the way they portrayed the action, basically. And I think for a lot of people that was enough to say, you know what, hey, that was a pretty good movie. Like I came to see action and special effects, and this movie delivered on those 2 fronts. I think nowadays, though, with modern superhero films, you can't really get away with just special effects and action.
Absolutely not.
I mean, the Transformers do it every other year, but I hate those movies.
Those are horrible movies.
Yeah.
It has no soul if it's all just, you know, animated.
And Green Lantern is a great character who does have a soul, and there's a lot more to him than just the special effects.
Yeah. What else did you like about it? We have to say at least one other thing.
What else did I like? Special effects, action. Blake Lively is pretty attractive.
Well, honestly, I think like if we could get into the cast, like I thought Ryan Reynolds delivered, and I think a majority of the cast delivered a fairly good performance. They made the most of what was on the page.
Maybe with the exception of was it Peter Skarsgård?
No, I even think he did I think he did fine. His character was supposed to be creepy, and he was. But let's start with Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan real quick. Okay. Again, I think he's supposed to be Robert Downey Jr. light. I think that's why they cast him. Because originally, like, he wasn't their number 1 choice. I think Martin Campbell went into production kind of upset because his number 1 choice was Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
But Bradley Cooper apparently bombed his audition.
Really?
He kept doing a Batman voice, a Christian Bale Batman voice, when they were telling him not to. So
That's funny.
yeah. And then Jared Leto was also considered for the role.
I don't know if I would have liked that.
And also Justin Timberlake was also considered.
I remember that.
And I think those three passed on it, and it went to Ryan Reynolds.
I remember at the time when Ryan Reynolds was cast, he had just done the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. So when he was cast as Green Lantern, I was really disheartened because I thought that Deadpool was never going to happen at that point. Mm-hmm. And fortunately enough for everybody, Green Lantern bombed and he was able to still do Deadpool.
Well, apparently he was writing Deadpool as he was working on this film.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the character of Hal Jordan in this film, most of his character traits were insertions by Ryan Reynolds. And they're the same ones that we saw him instill in Hannibal King in Blade Trinity, and the ones that are so much more fitting for a character like Deadpool, which is like this cocky, humorous dude.
Yeah, he's really good. Like, he channels this comedic kind of cynicism just really well.
He felt more like Ryan Reynolds than he did Hal Jordan to me.
I agree. But, I mean, Ryan Reynolds is a cool guy to watch.
Well, I mean, and he does a good job in this film. He's a good actor. So while he did well for what he could do, I still think he was miscast, I think.
Who would you have rather seen?
Honestly, I think I would have rather seen Bradley Cooper. Just smack him until he stops doing the Batman voice. Like, I think current day, if you were to ask me now, I would say Armie Hammer. However, I know for the Green Lantern Corps movie, they're going to be looking for an older Hal Jordan to mentor the younger Jon Stewart. So,
well, right now the rumor for that film is that the director of like the last two Mission Impossible films and Jack Reacher is going to direct.
Oh, that'd be great.
So I'm really hoping, like, if you could get Tom Cruise in the role of Hal Jordan,
friggin' Top Gun,
that would be badass.
Get Top Gun as Hal Jordan.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
I'm not the biggest fan of Tom Cruise. I do think he's been in some pretty fantastic movies, though.
Yeah.
So I would love to see him as Hal Jordan.
That'd be really cool. But anyway, Blake Lively, like, she's just so serious. I have a feeling like the previous takes, like Ryan Reynolds was goofing around and she was laughing, and the take that he went with was like the take right after that, where she's trying really hard to be serious and trying to really hard to be like this, like, superior, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, she's, I guess, supposedly the head of Ferris Air. Is that what the name of the company is?
Yeah,
but she was a pilot.
Yeah.
Why is she doing both things? Like, it confused me because it looked like she was like a test pilot fulfilling the same role as Hal Jordan as a test pilot for this company. And then all of a sudden she's like barking orders at everybody, and it just really confused me.
Well, her dad owns the company, Carl Ferris.
Right. But like, he fires Hal Jordan for the stunt that he pulled.
Yeah. And then she's like, no.
And then she's like, no, pending an investigation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait. Who is she? She's a test pilot. What is she doing? I don't think the movie explained clear enough. Like, first of all, who she is.
Dude, they explained it like in the sentence before that. Where he's like, oh, what are you doing wearing this suit? And she's like, I do this part of the job too, and I'm really good at it. You know?
That was after. That was actually after.
I thought it was before.
No, it was right after. For the rest of the movie, I think she was fine. There wasn't a whole lot to her character, I guess.
No. It was her job to essentially just say, you have the power to overcome fear.
Yeah.
But she already
motivate him.
That. I don't understand how the character of Hal Jordan, how he became just so, like, I don't know, down on his self-esteem.
I know, right? You're freaking Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
You're a freaking ace hotshot pilot.
Right.
And you're moping around. It's weird.
I never once got this notion. And towards the end of the film where he's just like, well, guess what? They chose wrong. You know why? Because Green Lanterns are supposed to be able to overcome fear. And I'm a piece of shit.
I'm afraid.
I know.
Why are you afraid?
When? When? I don't get it. Peter Skarsgård. Or Sarsgaard, I should say. Sarsgaard. Yeah.
I think he took the role a little bit too campy. I think he made it a caricature of what it should have been. As Hector Hammond.
I don't think... I think it was unintentionally campy. I don't think he was trying to take it there. I think he was trying to be... I think he was intending it for it to be scary.
You think he played it straight? You think he played it real? Because I don't.
I think he played it as real as Hector Hammond can get. First of all, let me say, I don't like the character of Hector Hammond. It's a dumb character, I think, personally. It's not my favorite Green Lantern villain. I'm not sure why they went with him.
He's just a dude with a big head. Yeah, he's like the MODOK, I think, of like the DC universe.
Yeah,
he's like, why would you lead off with MODOK? Don't lead off with MODOK. He's weird looking. He's a creep. I just don't. I think they should have went with a different design. The character designs in this film were pretty good in every aspect except for the villains.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's definitely something I've wanted to talk about. I know a lot of fans got really upset when they first saw the Green Lantern costume, and it was a complaint that never really went away even after the film was released. Mm-hmm. Personally, I liked it. I actually really liked the character designs. I liked the suit design. For me, like, the white gloves never made sense to me. On Hal Jordan, and like the black uniform. You know, it's supposed to be a construct of his, and maybe it's not. Maybe, you know, the scene where they're like scanning him is supposed to be like they're fitting him with his suit or whatever. But my impression is that for the Flash and for Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, those are like energy-based suits. That's my impression that I have from the comics.
Yeah.
So when they revealed the photo of him, and it was like, you know, green and dark green, and they ended up like segmenting those and putting more contrast between those colors after like the initial reactions.
Yeah.
But to me, that made sense. And it, like, the way it like showed off his like muscular system, I thought that was really cool. And the way you could see like other aliens' muscular systems, to me, it made sense. Mm-hmm. I thought like Tomar Ray's, he almost had like these like scales,
yeah,
you know, and I thought it was just like I thought it was really cool.
I liked the costume. I mean, the special effects were not necessarily up to where they maybe should have been.
Yeah.
But the design, I think, was spot on for the Green Lanterns, for the Guardians, and for the planet of Oa. I think that was all really well done. I think the concept artist did a great job.
If I would have changed one thing about his costume, I wouldn't have had his costume go so far up his neck. Because it was really weird.
I would have changed him, like, the way his mask goes up on his nose. I know the mask goes up on his nose in the comics, but I think they should have changed it so that it curved around his bridge.
It was more like a domino mask?
Yeah, like a domino mask. It made him look like he had a big nose. It was weird.
I think, if anything, the mask thing is tricky because it's supposed to be a concealer of your identity. But if it can't even conceal your identity from this coworker of yours, then why is it even necessary? I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I liked Oa too. I liked the design of it.
Yeah.
I liked how just like alien it looked, you know, and there were just like glimmers of just these strange shapes.
And colors. It was something that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for the artists that worked on those designs and then ended up with this movie.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for the artists that worked on Parallax and Hector Hammond.
Okay,
they dropped the ball.
The villains are really embarrassing in this film. There's no other way to say it. Hector Hammond just gets so over the top and just so weird.
Yeah.
And then Parallax is just so not interesting, so one note, so CG.
So turd-like.
He looks like running diarrhea. You know?
Why the color brown? Why did they go with the brown? They should have went with like yellow, gold, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. Well, in the comic, he looks like this, like, almost like a giant, I don't even know how to describe it.
Parasite kind of thing.
Yeah, like parasitic kind of like almost like insect, but with not like an insect-like face. It's interesting. It's kind of creepy, you know?
Yeah.
And they went with this. Like a tentacled head poop thing. So on one end you have Parallax, who looks like diarrhea, and the other end you have Hector Hammond, who looks like a giant testy. You know? Like,
man,
since this film, I have called my left testicle Hector Hammond. That's its name.
What's the right one? Don't answer that. I don't want to know.
Peter Sarsgaard.
Yeah, they dropped the ball with the designs on the villains.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. I really wish that they would have waited for this film to come out, because what was going on in the comics right at that time, you have some of the best Green Lantern comics that came out, because Jeff Johns was writing the comic then. If they would have went with a character more like Atrocitus, who is infinitely more interesting, and it has a much better backstory.
What's the difference between Atrocitus and Sinestro? Wouldn't it be
Atrocitus and Sinestro
similar?
Atrocitus and Sinestro are like enemies. They're
okay.
I mean, they both have like similar powers, but
exactly. That's why they went with Parallax.
Oh, okay. You're harping on DC for having a villain with similar powers.
No,
they could make it work. Trust me.
I'm harping on them for the potential for potentially doing that 2 movies in a row.
Oh,
I'm saying.
Oh, you mean like Iron
I'm
Man?
saying I'm fine with Parallax being the villain. I just wanted a better design.
Yeah. You have to wonder like how they're going to depict Oa and how they're going to depict the Green Lantern suits and the Green Lantern villains in the next film.
I would have to imagine that they wouldn't be able to do much better than what they did here.
And yet they're going to
design of Oa.
They're going to have to do something completely different. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think the approach they took with Oa and a lot of the character designs in this film are sort of the same mentality going into Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Because I know just hearing them talk about the direction for Green Lantern is very, like organic looking and no straight edges and a lot of curves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And very like, what's his name? H.R. Geiger kind of.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can see that.
But that definitely carried over to the Kryptonians as well, in a way. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely curious to see what they're going to do in these upcoming films. Yeah. What about Mark Strong?
I thought he was a good Sinestro. I would have liked to have seen him take it further, as the Yellow Lantern in a sequel,
yeah.
I think.
Sinestro is supposed to be Hitler, So it makes sense that like he's a really good speaker, a really good orator. And he kind of showed that in his in I think one of the best scenes of this film, was his speech.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense as to like how he could get people to turn to his side when he forms the Sinestro Corps.
Yeah.
But to me, he also was like a dick in this film unnecessarily. Yeah, I could understand that Abin Sur was his friend.
Yeah. It was hard to understand his motivations at any given point in the film.
Right.
Why did he want to use the yellow power of fear? Like, why was he drawn to it?
Right.
Why was he a fucking asshole to Hal Jordan? Like, did he love Abin Sur or something? I don't know. It was weird.
They were both purple. I don't know.
They were both purple. Why did he do anything, I guess? Why didn't he die when they fought Parallax? Did he run away?
Yeah, I got that impression.
Did he have somewhat of a cowardice streak? Should they have shown that, if that were the case? I don't know. There's a lot of questions about the character.
Yeah, if anyone's face showed fear during that scene, it was his.
Yeah, right? Yeah, he looked afraid. Why didn't he get sucked up? I don't know. But I'm glad that he'll be able to redeem himself as a DC villain in the Shazam movie.
Yeah.
Because I know he can, because he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a few characters of note. We got Amanda Waller, our first time seeing Amanda Waller, Angela Bassett.
Done better.
Definitely done better by Viola Davis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand why she was in this movie at all, honestly. Originally, I think in the original script, it was Alan Scott, who was the government operative. Yeah.
Weird.
And then like he reveals at the end of the film that he was the Earth's initial Green Lantern. I don't know. It was a very different film.
Weird.
Yeah. And then we have Tim Robbins, who's, a big time actor, and he plays this like really smarmy, just really bad, poorly written role.
It's a bad role
of Hector Hammond's father.
It's a bad character.
First of all, he doesn't look like he's old enough to be Hector Hammond's father, Hector Hammond was even like balding more than him, It was weird.
Yeah.
Just to see him call him dad. And then but just his dialogue, like there's that scene when Hector Hammond is called to his office and he's like, "Oh yeah, I set you up with this gig, I pulled the strings for you to dissect this alien." And then like
Hector Hammond reads his mind, and he's like, "He'll never get the job. What a disappointment. What an embarrassment."
He already got the job for one thing, and then if he considers him such an embarrassment, like we're enough to he's actually physically thinking you're such an embarrassment just by looking at him, and when he did nothing to even qualify that statement.
Yeah.
Why would you nominate him for that in the first place? It's the worst character in this movie, I think. It's just so bad. So bad.
Yeah. I
just want to stop watching the movie when his character comes on screen. It's just like, I'm fucking done with this.
They could have easily cut him out.
Yeah. Just other quick characters of note. Tamara Morrison as Abin Sur, Jeffrey Rush as Tomar Ray, Michael Clark Duncan as the voice of Kilowog.
Jeffrey Rush fucking killed it as Tomar Ray.
Heck yeah.
He was one of my favorite characters in this movie. Although I think half the time when he was spouting off his narration, pretty sure he didn't know what the fuck he was saying. The lanterns of the willpower and the green. Oh, the Guardians. I don't know.
I thought Tamara Morrison did a fantastic job as Eben Sur.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would ever top that. And Michael Clark Duncan, I think he was an obvious choice for Kilowog.
Well, his voice was so deep.
Yeah. But that's really the cast. Oh, I guess there's Taika Waititi in a surprise role before Thor Ragnarok. Waititi.
He was cast because Martin Campbell is from New Zealand as well, and those New Zealanders, they stay tight.
Tamara Morrison and Taika Waititi, also from New Zealand. So, it was just interesting to see him, younger before his, directing days. I don't think he directed anything before this film.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Really came into his own since then. It's weird to see him as an actor, I think.
Yeah.
In this movie. I don't know.
He did a good job. I was paying attention to him. I think he's definitely a good, like...
Sometimes his accent slipped through, but...
Yeah.
I kept wanting him to say, "Piss off, ghost!" So, I don't know.
I guess we could get into the breakdown of the film.
All right.
The film started off really interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the narration, which is kind of, like, I always hate kind of that narration.
It was a lot of exposition.
It was like what Black Panther did, but in not as good of a way.
He used a lot of sci-fi words that you were kind of unsure whether or not you were supposed to, like, remember any of that, what he was saying.
Yeah.
It was a lot of exposition done a little bit clumsily.
Yeah. And right away,
in terms of writing.
Right away, it goes into, like, the planet Riot where Parallax is trapped. And it really seemed like that opening shot, I think... I was like, so far, like, when I saw that, I was really into the film I was watching because it looked almost like it was a video game and it was just cool design. You could see the cool design.
Yeah.
Just from those aliens right off the bat. But then Parallax came out and I was like, what the fuck? After that, you go to Eben Sur on his ship.
Mm-hmm. That was a great scene. Up until this point, I'm all on board with the movie.
Yeah. So then after that, you're introduced to Hal Jordan for the first time, and I'm still on board. He goes up the plane. He defeats those robot airplanes.
Yeah.
And he kicks their ass. And I'm like, this is good. This is a really good film.
I think it was up until the point where he starts like spiraling out of control, and he starts like having flashbacks to when his dad died, and it was kind of out of left field a little bit. There wasn't enough setup, I think, for those moments.
Did you see the extended cut?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, I think it worked a lot better as flashbacks when he was spinning out of control than it did. Because, they initially had all those scenes, like, really, like, long scenes of him in his childhood in the extended cut.
Yeah.
And they were just pointless. I'm glad they cut them out for the theatrical film.
Yeah, but the theatrical cut, the way those scenes, his flashback scenes were inserted strangely. I don't know how to describe it.
I didn't think that. During the film, I was still on board when that happened. I was like, okay, cool, they're getting, and I understood all of it. It happened really fast, but I still was able to capture everything.
Yeah, I felt nothing for the kid. Like, he ran up to his dad, and his dad's like, "Hey, son," and then he blows up, and the kid's like, "Ah!" and he like gets blasted back. I'm like, what the fuck movie is this? What am I watching right now? Where did this come from? This is weird. I think it was just,
I guess
not set up well.
I guess if you have no familiarity with the character, you may be confused by that.
Yeah.
But then again, I just have to go back to the extended cut, and adding those scenes did not make it any better at all.
It was a script issue.
Maybe.
And an editing issue.
Maybe it's just an origin issue. Does he have a good origin?
Yeah, I think so. His father died in a plane crash as a test pilot, and then he became a test pilot so that he could die in a plane crash. I don't know if his origin is that good, actually. I don't know.
I don't know either. So, he defeats them, and then he gets summoned by Eben Sur.
Yes.
Which was a cool scene. And again, I'm still on board.
I feel like he should have went straight from this scene. Because I remember after this scene, he like takes the lantern and his Taika Waititi takes him home, and he like messes around with the lantern, and then he goes to a bar. I feel like just skip all of that, and as soon as he meets Eben Sur, and like Eben Sur instructs him to like say the oath and grab the lantern and stuff, he does it there, and then that's when he's taken up into space. Like, get right into the cool stuff,
Yeah.
Like all that stuff with the bar and everything like that didn't build any character. It was purposeless.
Yeah. I think really you already had that relationship set up with Carol. It was just like a hamstrung romantic subplot.
Yes.
That wasn't necessary. I always hate when they do that.
It had no payoff either.
In films. No, it didn't really.
Yeah.
Because like they were always like an item maybe. Did she just fall in love with him again because he has superpowers? I don't know.
was weird.
It was weird.
They already hooked up.
It was unnecessary.
Move on.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just kidding.
That's messed up.
But there was a moment where like he took the ring home and like he pushes it to the, which is stupid. He couldn't figure out how to charge the ring. Like all of a sudden he just like backhands it and all of a sudden it charges. It was weird.
The scene was just a vehicle for Ryan Reynolds' improv. I think.
Yeah. Well, he said the oath. All of a sudden his eyes went white and he said the oath. And then you're like, oh, something's gonna happen. And then Blake Lively shows up, knocks on the door, and nothing happens for like another 5 minutes. Yeah. He goes to the bar. He gets his ass kicked in the back, which is another stupid scene that I have a problem with. It was like 3 guys against 1. That's not fair to begin with.
What was it supposed to be? He made them lose their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, granted.
I think that scene happened in the comics as well.
Really?
Yeah.
But he goes to like punch him, but he's standing like 20 feet away from him.
Not that
he
far,
doesn't know.
Yeah, pretty far.
He doesn't know what the ring can do. I guess he's holding on to some like nuts and bolts or something. I guess I don't know if it's whether to pack his fist or if he was throwing the nuts and bolts at him.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But either way,
he's like, fuck you guys from like 10 feet away. I'm just gonna throw my fist.
Yeah. I mean, like from 10 feet away, throwing nuts and bolts at these guys is not gonna hurt them. So I would assume that it's to pack his fist. But if it's to pack his fist, why is he swinging from that distance to begin with? You know, and it's so stupid.
I don't know. Right after that is when he goes up to Oa. But concurrently with this whole thing, as he's an Oa and as he's becoming Green Lantern, Hector Hammond, he's dissecting Gabin's sewer, and he gets infected by a sliver of parallax.
Yeah.
See, I think the character of Hector Hammond, at least up to this point, is pretty like relatable. So I don't think he played it campy at all. I think he played it like this real character of Hector Hammond really would have played it. Peter Sarsgaard is a really, really good actor.
I respect him as an actor. I think he's been good in a lot of other stuff that I've seen him in. It was just this movie. And maybe he didn't really camp it up until his head became a testicle. But either way, he camped it up at some point, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if your head's growing that big, you're going to scream like a little girl. At least I think I would.
What's with the hair, though? That was so weird. I don't know.
Shave the head, dude.
It was a cool scene when Ryan Reynolds was being, like, shot up into space. Like, he was, like, freaking out. He's flying. You see the Earth getting smaller below him. He flies past the satellite. That was a great, engaging moment, I thought.
I think I saw how they shot that, and they really lifted him off the floor like that. Like, that was as practical as you could get with all the green swirly energy. But, like, the look of like fear in his eyes is like real. But so on Oa, you know, when they do that weird like body scan thing, I always thought that was weird. I have no basis for that in the comics, or know what the basis for that.
The purpose of it was to show off Ryan Reynolds' impressive physique.
And I think I got that. Like it was like Chris Hemsworth's like pool of whatever.
Anytime he takes off his shirt in the Avengers movies or in the Thor movies, same reason.
Yeah. I guess you need the girls to watch the movie too. So we're on. We get to see all the aliens. Some of them were cool. Some of them were really, really fake looking.
I wanted to see Chip.
Where the fuck was Chip? I was wondering the same thing. But then we get to his training session, and again, I don't understand why right off the bat, like Tomar Ray was cool, but Kilowog's an asshole. Sinestro's an asshole. They seem like very like I don't know what to call it. Speciesist? Is that a term?
You can say racist.
Racist against his species.
The human race.
I guess. Again, that battle was cool. I love the kind of like Captain America shield throw. Because that film came out the same year.
Yeah.
I was like, that's right. Anything Marvel guys can do, Green Lantern can do. He has all of your powers, bitch. After that, we get the worst scene in the movie with Tim Robbins and his son, Hector Hall. And by this time, Hector Hall, you know, in the classroom, he's learning what his powers are.
Telepathy and telekinesis.
Essentially. Mm-hmm. And also, what does he call it? He could see your memories when he touches you, essentially. Yeah. And then that leads into the party where, you know, he's all pissed off at his dad. He's all pissed off at the world. So he causes the helicopter crash that his dad is in. And it results in Green Lantern's debut. You know what's really weird? Is that this film had a budget of $200 million. And it doesn't really seem like it did.
No.
Because of things like he's debuting his powers at a gala, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like it should have been much grander than that. This character is cosmic in scale, you know?
Yeah.
We should have gotten, you know, something more cosmic. We should have had that final fight on Oa. you know, we had that set up. We had that set up in the film. You know, they were saying Parallax is coming for us. And then that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Parallax, for some reason, decided, one Green Lantern. Or he came because of Hector Hammond. He's like, Hector Hammond is there. I'm going to go see that guy.
He said he was going to consume the people of Earth, and then he would be strong enough to defeat the Guardians or something like that.
But they were already afraid of him. I mean...
Yeah. Right.
Hal Jordan called him out on that when he went to their chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And so by this point, like Hector Hammond, he's got his big head now and he's going crazy. And, you know, everyone's worried about him. They bring him back to like the facility where he dissected the alien or did an autopsy on the alien. And then he just like freaking kills everyone. And it was pretty twisted.
Yeah.
And he proves himself to be a match for Green Lantern, at least his power set wise. Yeah. If you're going to go up against with someone who could create anything, you know, being able to trap them and hold his ring down on the floor.
It was a little anticlimactic, the fact that they spent the majority of that scene lying down on the ground next to each other.
It was weird. It was very weird. Just the way he like fell right next to, so you could be laying next to him. I was like, all right, that was a choice.
Yeah.
So, you know, Green Lantern defeats him. Sinestro's like, we need to forge the yellow power ring, use Parallax's own power against him.
The Guardians approve, which makes them pretty dumb. Like, for being like the smartest, wisest beings in the universe.
The oldest, yeah.
The oldest. They're pretty dumb. They seem pretty naive through this movie, I think.
They do. Yeah, it's a huge disservice to them. I mean, there was an interesting line where like one of them says like, we need to weigh our choices based on forever. You know, we can't just make rash decisions because we have to think about eternity here. You have to think about the fate of the entire universe.
And yet they were like easily influenced by Sinestro and Hal Jordan, I think. And they even told him, he said something as simple as like, we have to overcome fear with courage. And then they said something like, you speak wise words, Hal Jordan. And I'm like, did he though? Did he? I don't know.
What I really didn't get is, okay, Green Lantern is able to like zip back and forth between Oa and Earth like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like Parallax must be slow as shit because he looks like shit and he just must move as fast as shit.
He was on the other side of the universe, probably.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. But I don't understand like why he had to go to the council to get their permission to fight Parallax
to defend his planet,
and then also not get any help. Like he gets Sinestro's and the Guardians' blessing, but they're like, "Well, go off and die, yeah, go ahead and just go fucking get killed, bye."
He's like, we have to stop Parallax, and they're like, we don't want to sacrifice any more lanterns, and he was like, well then don't. I'll just go. Let me go. And it's like, dude, no one's fucking stopping you.
Like, you didn't even need to go to Oa in the first place.
Yeah.
It was just really weird setup. I don't get it.
He's like, we're worth saving. I don't know.
It's weird because, like, again, this whole thing with, like, we're only human. You know, in other contexts, like, human just, for us, means, like, existence. So he's essentially saying, you like, we only, you know, exist. We're imperfect people of existence. But that could be like applied to everyone, all the aliens in the universe, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like he'd be like, we're this specific species, and this has no reference to you because you're an alien. And it's just, I don't know, it's just weird.
We're only Zarlandian. Okay, I don't know what that means, but
exactly. It makes no
cool.
sense.
You go be Zarlandian, man.
You do you. You do you. So, you know, that leads to the final fight where Hector Hammond has captured Carol Ferris. He's going to turn her like him. Mm-hmm. And Ryan Reynolds tricks him into using his ring, and Parallax busts in on the scene. And
they set up a kind of a rule of the ring that they never really established. They say, yeah, you have to be chosen, but they never said that if you put on the ring, you can still shoot blasts, like what Hector Hammond did.
Yeah.
Or that if you put on a Green Lantern's ring and you try to shoot a Green Lantern with it, that the energy will just stop before it hits him.
Right.
Like, that, I feel like that was a rule of the lore that should have maybe been explained or set up in some way. It felt kind of like a cheat, the way it went down.
They should have had Tom, like, try on the ring.
Oh, yeah, when they were messing around with it.
Yeah, when he was, like, showing him all the stuff. Like, why not have... Why wouldn't that have crossed Tom's mind? Hey, let me try the ring.
Yeah, let me try the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dumb. Parallax kills Hector Hammond.
And then the cool fight.
Yeah, the cool fight.
You have the bubble shield. You have the cool oath. I think the way Ryan Reynolds delivered the oath in this scene was
for sure
was good.
Yeah, and he the costume just looks cool. Like the way like the little lights of energy are just like going across his body. It almost looks like fiber optics or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like pulsating towards the ring.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
Again, it looks really cool.
He had cool constructs. He had the springs, the Gatling gun, the jet that like had the propeller would chop up Parallax so that he could fly through Parallax.
Yeah.
Those are all pretty sweet.
Dude,
that's why you go to see a Green Lantern movie. I mean, and that's why I think maybe why this movie gets a better shake than it deserves, because it was just a cool scene. And when he's in space,
and now imagine if that was like the middle of the film fight, like it was intended to be.
Yeah.
And then after that, he went up, to help with the Green Lantern Corps, and they were all using their constructs like badasses.
Yes. That's what you spend $200 million on right there.
Exactly.
I think it was an interesting way to defeat a villain using gravity in the sun's pool. It was a little implausible. Did Parallax, is that why it took Parallax so long to fly through space? Because he had to kind of like zigzag to avoid running into any stars or anything?
Apparently.
I thought it was like a cool scene when he was like weaving through the asteroid field, even though, the asteroid field's not that close together. The asteroid belt, I should say.
Yeah.
See, yeah, it's just little moments like that. That was...
He kind of went the opposite direction there.
Yeah, that's
He's supposed to
true.
be going towards the center. He like did a loop around or something. I don't know. I didn't like the way he defeated Parallax.
No.
In all honesty, like I know that it was set up earlier by what Kilowog was saying about you have to be careful when you're flying through space.
Yeah.
But like that didn't hamper Green Lantern, Ryan Reynolds, Hal Jordan in any way as he was flying to Oa. Like, they should have made it more of a thing, maybe, for it to be a bigger payoff in the end.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Can Green Lantern survive flying through a sun?
If his willpower is strong enough.
Ugh, so fucking dumb. Okay. No, it was cool. Like, I like the jets, how he used the jets to, like, fly over him, and then he used, like, the last of his remaining energy to, like, to do the big punch.
Classic Hal Jordan. Giant fist.
Yeah. You know what I would do if I were in charge of writing Green Lantern? Because I like the idea of the ring as more of like this cosmic 3D modeling tool than like a psychic supercomputer type thing or whatever. Like, I'd make the ring more vulnerable to running out of power. Like, he has to keep his constructs as simple and efficient as possible. And if he does have to create like a big elaborate construct, it immediately puts him into low power mode. And I think his ring should only
sort of like how like certain apps on your phone will drain the battery faster.
Exactly. I think his ring should only be able to do what is physically possible or within the realm of the user's knowledge. Like, it shouldn't be able to do impossible feats like when Chip like was blocking Superman's neurons from firing or something like that. Like, only a Green Lantern with a detailed knowledge of Kryptonian brain cells should be able to do something like that, I think.
That's sort of how it works now.
Oh, is it?
Like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So like they would never do something that would be outside the realm of what they know.
I also had a problem with the flamethrower that Green Lantern created in the middle action scene when he first met Hector Hammond. Mm-hmm. He created a flamethrower that shot actual flame. I thought it should have been green flame, because if he's able to like create combustion or these chemical processes using the ring, then he can do any number of sorts of things.
I think you could do it with like pressure, maybe.
Nah, should have been green flame.
All right.
All of his stuff should always result in green stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just my rant. That takes us to the end of the film.
Yeah, the rest of the Green Lantern Corps show up too late. They're there just to like catch his floating body in space. And then essentially, that's the end of the film. Green Lantern flies around. He gets the kiss from the girl. And at the end credits stinger or mid credits stinger is, for some reason, Sinestro puts on the yellow ring.
He's curious. It looks cool though. His suit looks cool. It's like an attractive hue of yellow or something like that. I don't know what was so appealing about it, but it was
yellow and black go well together, I think.
Yeah,
just a bright, saturated bright color against the darkest of colors. He definitely looks really cool, especially with like the yellow eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it makes me really sad. Honestly, when I saw that in the theaters, I was like, oh shit,
The sequel is going to be better than this movie, and it never happened.
and it never happened. They canceled it. And honestly, I think this film has a lot to do with the dark direction that DC went in for like films like Man of Steel, because The Dark Knight Rises came out after this film.
Yeah,
But that tone was already established in the previous Batman films.
yeah,
But when you take a look at Man of Steel, I think a lot of it has to do with the reception of Superman Returns and Green Lantern.
yeah,
You know, they said there was a no jokes policy in the DC superhero films from like Man of Steel forward. And I think a lot of it has to do with Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan and this film.
yeah.
I think they definitely obviously lined up on that since, you know, like Wonder Woman
with Justice League and Wonder Woman. Yeah,
yeah. But I think this film sort of hurt DC more than people may realize, or maybe have considered.
Whoa, what's your star rating?
I really, really wanted to give this film 3 stars because I remember liking it again when I first saw it. I liked it more than I liked Suicide Squad, but just comparing the films, this film has...
I would almost say that Suicide Squad is a better film than this one. Watching it again,
Yeah.
like the movie
I agree.
Green Lantern just doesn't hold up.
No, it doesn't at all. I give it 2.5 stars.
I would agree with that. I would think it's not the worst film ever. It's halfway to 5. You know, it's middle of the road, average. Well, not even average, because I think the standard superhero movie is better than average. But I think there's a lot of movies that are worse than it, certainly. Mm-hmm. But there's a whole lot of movies that are better than it. So I think it's a solid 2.5 as well.
At least with Suicide Squad, you had like redeeming factors in it, like Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, or Will Smith as Deadshot. In this one, you could maybe barely say that Ryan Reynolds was good as Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
And maybe Mark Strong as Sinestro. And that's about it, you know? So, yeah, I think 2.5 is fair. Maybe when I first saw the film, and like this wasn't a throwback review, and I was giving it a rating when I first saw it, it would have been 3. But in the current like landscape of superhero films, this is embarrassing. 2.5 stars.
It's disappointing. Not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's embarrassing. Catwoman is embarrassing. This movie is just disappointing.
I would say Catwoman's even more than embarrassing. I don't know. I'm embarrassed by this film a little bit.
Really? I would watch it with people. Like if it was on, I'd throw it on.
Really?
It's fine. It's fine. It's not bad. It's not great. All right. That does it for the review of Green Lantern. If you have anything to say about the film, go ahead and reach us on social media or email us at dynamicdualpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought.
One person did actually reach out to us on Twitter. His name is Marks1684. At least that's his handle on Twitter. And he asked us what our current top 5 favorite comic series were. For him, it was Dark Knight's Metal, Mighty Thor, Thanos, Daredevil, and Damage. I'm reading one of those. And I'm not reading like enough comics right now to have a complete list of 5. Maybe together you and I could have a list of 5.
Yeah.
But I am reading Dark Knight's Metal. I've been reading some of Tom King's Batman sporadically, which has been really good. I'm definitely reading the Watchmen sequel, Doomsday Clock. That's essentially what I'm reading right now. Is really just Doomsday Clock.
Yeah. This may not be the best podcast to address, like the best comic books out there right now, because you and I don't have a lot of time to read as much as we would like to. Like currently I'm reading Secret Empire and Black Panther. And because
Secret Empire was like last year.
Well, I have a Marvel Unlimited account.
That's right.
So I'm like 6 months to a year behind in all comics. So yeah, don't come to us for like the latest and best in terms of comics. Like we really keep up to date on like comic book movie news and stuff like that.
I keep up to date with comic news as well, like through Newsarama and stuff like that.
Yeah, and probably more than I should, because I spoil myself on a lot of comic arcs that I'm not actually reading.
Well, it's how I know. Honestly, a lot of like the most recent like comic purchases I've made have been for research purposes, like buying finding issues of like the most recent appearances of like Black Manta or something like that. Yeah. But
I bought Bendis's The Defenders. I've been reading that.
Oh, is that with the Netflix characters?
Yeah, with the Netflix characters. That's all right.
And now he's on DC.
Yeah,
but I definitely stay up to date with comic book news, just because I want to know if there's something out there good to read.
I certainly read less now than I ever did in my past. I miss the good old days when I used to go to the comic book store on a weekly basis.
Just drop $25 each week.
Hell yeah. Now I got bills. Fucking sucks.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, definitely thank you for reaching out to us. And if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and, reach out to us like
Mark's 1684. He won a no prize. I don't think it was the last episode, but the one before that.
Oh, cool. Yeah. All right, so that does it for this episode. In our next episode, we will be doing a duel, and we'll be discussing who would win in a fight between Green Lantern and Nova. It will be the Richard Rider version of the character.
And Hal Jordan.
Versus Hal Jordan.
And I'm looking forward to the fight. I don't know much about Nova, but I do know that it's going to be almost impossible to beat Hal Jordan.
It's cool because the Nova Corps is like the intergalactic police force in the Marvel universe versus the intergalactic police force in the DC universe. They're both super powerful. Like Nova doesn't create constructs and stuff, but he can create shields. And I think on a destructive power level, my assumption would be that Nova has a greater potential for destruction than Green Lantern does.
Oh, you don't know. Hal Jordan has so much willpower. He could destroy the sun if he wanted to. No. I don't know.
Could he really though? Because I'm pretty sure Nova could. Good luck, sir. You're gonna need it. So go ahead and subscribe to the show if you haven't already on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you feel so inclined, to go ahead and give us a rate and or review as well. It would be truly appreciated. You can visit us on dynamicduel.com where you can get all the links to our social media accounts, especially our Instagram. If you're not following us on Instagram, definitely
Instagram and Twitter are I think our two biggest ones, because one is for like news and just keeping up to date with like new episode drops and stuff like that. And I guess Instagram does that as well, but like it's more visual. We do a lot of visual stuff, I think. We're both graphic designers by profession. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, and you could also find the link on dynamicduel.com to our merch site where you can buy some cool stuff that Jonathan and I designed the graphics for. So that does it for this episode, and we will talk to you guys again in a week.
Up, and away.
True believers.